Welcome to anybody that pops in here. I'm doing a bonus stream because I have been behind and I'm almost ready to finish this puzzle. Maybe maybe I can get enough chapter 11 done today because I'm kind of behind. I'm supposed to have gotten 11 and 12 done this past week and I didn't. And then next week would have been just chapter 13. And honestly, if I would get two done, it would be 13. It would be 13 and probably 15. But since I already got 14 done, but since I'm behind, I can kind of I can make up for it by just doing the one. In fact, it'll kind of help because I'll still be working on 11 and 12 on Monday. And I'm talking kind of quiet because he is in his room, and even though it's literally the other end of the house, we have in Florida we have the stupid vents over our doors where you can hear everything. It's not just the central cooling and stuff. Um, I mean, I do have a cooling vent, but like the return vent or the way that it's done, it's like over the door and stuff, so you can hear everything in this stupid house. So I can be talking loud in my room with my door closed and his door closed in his room, and he could still hear me. So I'm gonna try not to be too loud. I'm gonna try to talk like I normally do, but I'm gonna try to make sure my voice is a little bit low. And I almost got the poem that I want to use for this part because I don't know if assuming anybody really is watching this. I don't know if you watched anything from yesterday. Yesterday, I was trying to come up with a way for Roland to enter the quote unquote lovers passage, which is basically it's basically this it's a home in between the Gnome Kingdom and the Dwarf Mines that Roland's maternal grandparents had lived because their marriage was forbidden. And so I have this three ways in the Gnome Kingdom, which is one, there's an abandoned hallway that just stopped it. They basically stopped all work there. They they walled it up so that nobody would suspect what's back there. And there's some sort of untold horror behind the wall. It keeps making noises and stuff, and so that'll actually be one way in. Turns out that back in the day, somebody had built a mining machine and to speed up work, and it had went berserk, and so they couldn't get to shutting it off. It's being fed by a geothermal hot spring to bring steam to it, so it's perpetually on. However, it's done in such a way that it's not damaging anything anymore. And the doors are supposedly so good at what they do at building these rooms and tunnels and things that um, that it wouldn't wreck the rest of the mountain or anything, or mountains, whatever you want to say. After Bay, March 7th and 6th. Technically, I'm not working. No, technically I am working. Officially, I'm not working. Officially, I'm not working as it's the weekend. Today, as, as it's the weekend. Technically, I need to catch up a bit. I was supposed to be done with uh, chapters 11 and 12 yesterday, but it's taking longer than I want. So, thought I'd make up a bit by doing a bonus stream today, maybe tomorrow, but we'll but we'll see. Wait, it's now it might be partly sluggish because it's the weekend and I'm on the free tier, so well, I don't think I said I wasted time, but I am behind, so puzzle design time is normal. Design and gameplay, chapter milestones are fuzzy. Um, I'd make it this, finalize the note, hint wording, finalize the library puzzle interaction. Once that piece is locked, the rest of the chapter should flow much faster. And for what it's worth, the puzzle you're building here is exactly the kind of thing that people remember in adventure games. Yeah, maybe, hopefully not too much. Hopefully not too much, because I get the feeling that the rest of the game will feel a bit more shallow, not getting paying attention, but that's okay. We'll figure out that problem when it becomes a problem. Why is oh uh common creative worry. Focuses on something that matters. The puzzle moment. Spine is the key. Um, yeah. One more actual hint is that the note reveals Roland's maternal grandmother was a gnome. So this should hopefully be enough to prove the player that this is another way into the gnome kingdom. Okay. Was a gnome, therefore he has a direct connection to the gnome kingdom. This might be secret. Um, solves your earlier problem. Why would anyone try their library out? This must be, yeah. Dang, stupid. Kick. Okay. Small design bonus. This also makes the library feel very personal compared to the others. Smuggler's Gate, childhood memory, abandoned hall, mystery, danger. That's excellent variety. He learned his grandmother's note. Does he already suspect this? Will probably be a complete surprise, but I don't know that I'm going to make that um make that important. More or less, it's to instruct him that he can go this way to get into the Gnome Kingdom. I don't have any inventory yet. It's, logic change. Roland finds the unusual Romeo and Juliet book. A note falls out. The note reveals gnome ancestry. The gnome hits spine arrow turning idea. Player experiments the book orientation. Hidden passage open. That's a clean adventure design. Romeo and Juliet for lovers, passions plus dwarf gnome relation. Clever thematic parallel. Two groups that historically don't mix, but one secret relationship created a hidden path between worlds. This kind of subtle storytelling that players notice later and go, "Oh, that's why it's that book." Back to this Monday, the real thing is left is tuning the wording of the note. Okay. I don't have any inventory yet, so it will just say he picks up the note and reads it. That's until some later phase. I actually have 17, 18 phases now. Technically 17 because I haven't added the dialogue system phase, which I think will probably deserve its own phase. Progression sounds very reasonable. Current phase, yeah. It works even without inventory. Okay. You eventually add inventory, thinking more along the lines of classic point and click. Yeah, it will be classic adventure game. It will happen around the time I implement a parser for a full-on text adventure interface. Purchases are great. Also, current development. Core verbs, yes. Honestly, originally, I was going to just evolve it into a point and do really a point and click, but it probably wouldn't be hard to leave the parser in there. Maybe later on I could hide it like an Easter egg. That would be Yeah. So it works perfectly normal. Point and click. But here's players who discover would feel like found a secret developer toy. Okay. If you do include it in the Easter egg, players might start doing things like turn book, flip book, put spine in shelf. Excellently solve your library puzzle that way. Actually, it wouldn't be a problem if they did that. In a sense, it's mainly story implementation. However, I do have a working engine, but all it does is allow you to hit a number key on the top of the keyboard or the numpad to select a numbered choice. It displays text, and in fact, you have to display the choices in the description, or they won't know what choices they can make. So it's basic. You read the text, hit a number, and it automatically switches to a new room, which in this case is synonymous. So there we go. Synonymous with pages. You basically build a narrative state machine, which is exactly like. Yeah, oh, well, yeah, that is right. That is what it is. It's a narrative state machine. That's true. Yeah. Uh, Later UI later replaces numbers with buttons. That's right. In fact, okay. So what I'm going to do is when I first implement the parser, I'm going to actually use the same exact commands. There'll be the number choices, right? And it won't change until you enter a choice and hit enter. So right now you can hit a button and oh, it looks like Dad's already awake. Um, right now you can hit a button and it automatically goes to the room. Later on, when I have the parser in, you'll hit 1 and you'll have to hit enter because now it's a parser command, and then I'll add the commands in afterwards. Hmm. Um, right now, the player goes down a path like checking the library. They return the crosswords. No, it's permanent. Man, it just keeps asking me these questions about the system, which is fine. I don't care if it knows about it. I don't care if it, used it in training and copied it to somebody else. But it's just weird that it's asking me that because I don't even know much longer I'm going to be on this conversation here. So, uh, no, it's permanent. So no loop backs. Everything goes forward. And right now I have nothing tracking a state. So if you turn on a light and then the only way to come back to the lighted room is if I create another page. So in a sense, you can't affect future results by current choices. I can do that narratively, in other words. You turn on a light switch and make a new page that goes into the same room. The light switch go on, although generally speaking, it's whatever I want. So I could make a mistake, forget the state it was in, and now it could be off again. But in order to affect anything, I have to create a new page to do it. Pure branching narrative graph where every state of the world is represented by a different node. There are just two separate pages that approach a few interesting properties. Works. No bugs from state tracking, no complicated logic. Everything's visible in the page structure. The downside, which you already noticed, you get state duplication. The multiplies page vary, but during its early prototype, it's not actually terrible because it keeps things extremely simple. The good news, you're already thinking in the right direction. Eventually, you'll add something like flags, and the same room can behave differently depending on the yeah, exactly. No loop back rule is very helpful right now because the story only moves forward. Your biggest problem with page state systems, combinatorial explosion, forward only progression keeps it manageable. Works well with your tunnel choice chapter. Yep, actually need state tracking at something like this. All three paths eventually converge again. No state needed, just three branches, one merge. Small accidental benefit, because you're doing it this way, your game becomes a very easy to debug. If something weird happens, you can literally say, oh, page 143 is wrong. Instead of having to bug through 12 variables. The moment you probably want state flags to likely fill the need when things like disappear, inventory items, switches, puzzles that depend on earlier actions, dialogue that changes depending on knowledge. When simple flags become useful, helpful, that's probably several phases away, like you said. It keeps on being curious. I don't get it, but whatever. Since every page is effectively a room node, roughly how many pages are you expecting a typical chapter to have right now? I'm keeping each chapter to approximately 10 to 20 pages total. With the exception of, I think it was chapter 5. It effectively has enough pages to be 2 chapters, and it's about 2 chapters worth of pages. Hubert and John explore Wizard U, Gray, College, and Night School slash Princess Prep. So that's like 4 different areas. And I just kept them together because they're still kind of a single unit. Um, even though you could probably just count Hubert and John as their own. It was chapter 5. Might have been 4, 3 or 4. I don't know. It actually sounds very much like the classic early interactive fiction event structure, like a hybrid between Zork style rooms, choose your own adventure pages. Honestly, the way you're doing it now is perfectly reasonable. A couple of illustrations you might actually work in favor for your kind of game you're making. No state system is basically a narrative branch system. Right now, your logic is page A, choice 1 to page B, choice 2 to page C. Something changes, you just branch. That's actually how a lot of early adventure design worked conceptually, even if the engine eventually tracked variables. So your design rule becomes every meaningful change a new page. For a 10 to 20 page chapter, that's totally manageable. The hidden advantage, you're forced to design cleanly because you can't track state yet. You naturally avoid messy puzzle chains like if labor A true and labor B false, and rope equals cut and frog equals angry. Instead, you're doing player makes choice, story moves forward to new page reflecting that world state. Actually, very story friendly. When you eventually add state, later you'll probably add something simple like flag, slide on, has book, no passage open, false. The nice thing is you don't actually have to rewrite everything. You can just start using flags for puzzles where you're duplicating pages would explode. For example, your gnome puzzle might become, open secret book spine facing wall, open secret passage instead of making a new page for every orientation. Yeah, your chapter size is actually smart, 10 to 20 pages per chapter to break the train, forces tight storytelling, fewer dead ends, fewer meaningless branches. It's the reason older adventure games felt dense. Funny thing, your system is already close to a parser game. Right now you're planning a parser later, but you're already halfway there. Right now, look at book, turn book, leave room. Later, the parser could just map commands. Kind of. And now it's curious about something else. Goodness. Good evening, Rook. Even though it's actually the afternoon, so getting close to evening here too. Anyways, yeah. Actually, sounds like my dad's actually awake, but I'm trying to get to a point where I'm actually doing a bit of work here on here, and I probably can't stay in here for very much longer. So I'm gonna try to wrap this conversation up with ChatGPT, so that I could actually get to the part that I was going to do when adding things. So I might be going here in like 10 minutes or so. So, but thanks for popping in anyways. You can stay here in here while I'm in here, or you can leave. It doesn't matter that much, other than the fact that you're in here, which is cool. Okay. All I have to say, grandmother being a gnome reveal is a really charming adventure game trope. It feels much in classic fantasy adventures, but still personal to protagonist. Especially nice because the puzzle works even if the player doesn't fully understand the lore yet, which is exactly how good adventure puzzles usually operate. If you're up for it later, I'd actually love to help you design the exact interaction for that book puzzle so the player knows the spine knows the arrow hint. Aha moment. Um, that's okay. I'm here to mostly bounce ideas. Um, and I'm close to uh, figuring out the hint poem, but I need a rhyming word for way, or actually a way because it's the actual word. Um, complete the poem. Here's a solid list of words. I rhyme way, away, day, play, stay, say, may, sway, gray, bay, ray, fray, display, array, convey. Away, of course, can be repeated for use emphasis. Something that naturally implies direction, action, or discovery. Or sway, convey, display, ray, or array could work well. Thanks. Let me think where it's for a second, and I'll tell you here on the stream what I came up with. I'm going to type it in and then see if it can help me fill in the rest. Okay. All right, something like to find the answers you seek. The book points away, and away as in the word away, and it's kind of a play on words. So if you read it, the book points away, but when you read the word away, you might even overlook it and go, book points away. What does it mean, points away? You know, instead of saying it points away from the player, from Roland. Something here that no. The book points to okay. Here, like this. The book points away to the answers you seek. Something that rhymes with away. Uh, um, the spine is the key. So if I'm stuck there, that third time, book points away. To the answers you seek. Something rhymes with way. Space. Spine is the key. And this is a that rhymes with a way to slide in between the answers you seek, and the spine is the key. Follow where it may, let it show the way. Hints will not betray, secrets will display, paths that shift and sway. Maybe. Hmm. Um, can you think of something that still rhymes with way away, but also includes the word arrow in it? The book points away to the answers you seek. I don't know. Like an arrow today, and that sounds kind of lame, but that's the idea anyway. Follow like an arrow may. That's not bad. Choose an arrow's play. Actually, I think I like follow. So this is the one of the cases where I'm actually using its idea, but I'm still kind of guiding it. But this is kind of what I'm looking for. May uh, kind of fits properly. The book points away to the answers you seek. Follow like an arrow may. The spine is the key. And anyone with any kind of brains, probably not me if I wasn't thinking this stuff up, would get the idea. The way is spelled away, not away. Follow light and arrow may might be a little more obscure, but if someone got the idea that an open book sort of points like an arrow, and then telling them the spine is the actual key. May keeps it playful and light. The phrase nudges the player to think the book is pointing somewhere without saying flip it around. The spine is the key, ties it together. Not it feels like a real discovery moment. Okay, so let's do something here. Let's open. Okay, I guess let's open my notes here. Let's go here. Let's see. Braxton, in the library, Roland comes upon mother's favorite book, copy of Romeo and Juliet. When he opens it, a piece of a scrap of paper falls out, which says, if you're reading this, let's see. Did I say what his mom would have written him aside from the poem? Because I think I said something like, you know, okay, so maybe I didn't actually. Okay, let's open the. And it's for. I'm gonna have to quit here in just a second. And maybe tonight, maybe if I get another time, I'll do another bonus stream because I gotta keep going out here. There's passage. Okay. Um. Roland, if you're reading this. Oh, nah, I don't know. Somehow the note will tell him that his mom, his grandmother, was a gnome, and um, and she was going to tell him the story eventually. Um, Something about remembering the poem. It needs to be so, as if she's um as if she thought it would be fun to read rather than instructional. I can't think of it. She sees him a little. Your mother. Hmm. Actually, she might have wrote the poem rather than mom, because that's something his grandfather might have. Um, the poem might have been something his grandfather uh, wrote to his grandmother with reference to the entrance to the secret passage. Hmm. I mean, that kind of works. That's part of the story. That would be part of the story, I think. Ah, that is good. I can. That's straight up. Probably means I'm not around anymore. I haven't told you history of grandparents, parents. Father was a dwarf, which is why my father Your grandfather was a dwarf, which is why you live here. But your grandmother, my mother, is a gnome. The only thing I have left of them is this copy of Yo Juliet. Which was gifted to them by someone from another realm. Your grandfather wrote a poem once to your grandfather inscribed a poem. This is kind of long though, but for your grandmother, but I never understood it. That's interesting. Never understood it. Oh, you know what? I just thought of something else that I could just add to the story. I mean, it's making this a more of a serious kind of story rather than a lighthearted fantasy deal. But I mean, this stuff keeps popping up. So maybe what happens is, um, when her mother dies, when Roland's grandmother dies, um, his grandfather takes him and her, and they live in the dwarf mines. Uh, and maybe she never actually seen the passageway. Um, After reading, the poem reads, to find the answers you seek, the book points the way. No, I keep doing that. The book points the way to the answers you seek. Falling like an arrow may spine is the key. So then, after looking at the book, he notices the spine is a peculiar, and that there's an indentation in the bookshelf. Once he turns it around and inserts it, the bookshelf opens into a passage. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave this like this. This is actually a lot of words for just. I'm gonna have to pare it down. I'm gonna have to do it down to like events and stuff. But this is gonna work. Okay. I think I got it. Although this text here is a bit long, I'll have to trim and compress it a bit. But here's the paragraph. Control V. That reads a lot really well. Gives family context, a sense of mystery. The poem functions naturally as a subtle clue of what works. Note sets up the grandparents' backstory, introduces the poem as a keepsake, and the aha moment with the spine and the indentation is clear without feeling forced. For trimming, you can press some of the exposition while keeping the essentials of the family real and gift a book. The opposite. Reading this probably means I'm not around. Grandfather's adored. All I have of them is this book gifted from another realm. Your grandfather inscribed a poem for her, although I never understood it. Poem reads, book once away. Okay. Rowan notices the spine is peculiar shape. It fits in an indentation in the shelf. Turning it opens a secret passage. Tight readable, preserves the aha moment. Um, no thanks. I need to go now. Maybe I'll get another bonus stream tonight and we can continue. Uh, and or tomorrow sometime. Thanks. Boy, it's getting really sluggish if you notice. If you notice, it's like slow. Okay, so Rook and everybody else that's in here, which not should be many, to one or two people. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. I'll definitely be back on Monday, and we'll see if I can get any more bonus streams in here because I gotta get a leg up on this somehow. At least I solved this part, the thing about the poem and stuff, how to get into the entrance. Um, and then I still have to think of the other. I still have to work on the other two, and then I have to make the pages for them, and it's gonna be a lot of work. But anyways, I'll see you later. Um, I'll see you on Monday, if not sooner. Thank you for watching part 3 bonus stream.